Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. So today we're continuing our PVD graphene mega test, as they call it. Now, what do we have here? We have three waxes. A, otherwise known as number 27. B, otherwise known as number 33. C, otherwise known as number 43. Now, they've told me nothing about these, except I think, even though this could be wrong, they could all be the same, which could be really devious. Everyone else got sent two. I asked for all three because I wanted to check one of each. So I'm hoping I've got an SiO2, a graphene, and a normal wax. So loads of them were sent out to people. One wax could be a normal paste wax, baseline formula with just like, you know, organic waxes, etc. They use the same baseline formula, then add SiO2 to one of them, and then they use the same baseline formula and add a graphene dispersion to another one. Now, I've talked about this, it's very difficult. There are differences between these waxes. First of all, the wax in the middle here is slightly more oily. So these two waxes on the left and right are drier. You can even see that in the shot, can't you? This one, even that little wet patch in the middle. Now, that was making me think that that was the normal paste wax originally, but it depends what they've added to it. So if they've added a dispersion of graphene, then it could be in a solvent, and it could just make the wax slightly wetter. So I can't really tell. There is also a difference. Let's just come up. There is. Yeah. There is also a difference in smell. That wax does have a slight funky slight funky smell to it. Which is just making me think. Now let's apply these waxes. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I've just got some little bits of sponge, nothing too clever. I'm just going to cover that. Yeah, we're not going to learn much about that from the application, but let's just bring you in, and we'll leave that top bit uncovered there, sorry. So let's just go in circles so you can see. To get a little bit of warmth going in it. Forgive the camera work. Needs a bit of heat. The panel's been cut back again with the blue Rupes wool pad and the coarse compound over there. So we've got the wax there everywhere now, and we'll just give it a little spread. Just make sure we got decent even coat of the wax. Okay, so this needed a little bit of working, and it starts loosening up a bit. You can see it's oiled up a bit from rubbing it. See how dry that one is and how cracked that one is. You know, I'm just wondering if that's the graphene one, because the powder, you know, it's like adding flour to the mix, might have dried it out a bit. So let's go with the middle wax now. Definitely a bit oilier, this middle wax. Right. Just leave a little gap on the top so we can marker them up. This seems to be spreading a bit better than the first one. Definitely spreading a bit better. Yeah, I mean, it looks wetter and it's a little bit more oily. So this one spreads better. I don't think I captured that when I was with Bert. So 43, I've got these marker sheets here. Ease of application, 33. Let's put it up into the great, because the other two are decent. So it just tells us there's an advantage there, where it feels better. Let's make sure we got the wax. Side it on. Spread, yeah. Right. Now we go in with this last one, which you can see it's a bit drier, but it will wet up a bit when we move it, when we rub it. There we go. Let's lay this down. Yeah, and this applies a bit better than that first one as well. This goes on a bit easier. Definitely, this one feels nice. Very similar to the second one. I mean, they're all very similar. That's why back of my mind's thinking, I wonder if they're the same thing. But that definitely felt a bit grippier. So 27, we'll put ease of application. We'll leave both of these as good. 33, so I'll cross that out. 33 and that, and we'll put this one as average. 27 as average. Okay. Now we want to leave these for about 5 minutes and then we'll buff, so I'll just stop the camera. Okay guys, so we're back with a clean microfiber cloth and we're going to buff. So let's just have a look at the cureage. It's really toughened up, that has. Come in focus. There it is. So is that, actually. And that, it's toughened, but it's not as tough as that. That's gone like rock hard. That's got something in it. 27. Okay. 27 is not a plain wax. My money at the moment is it's the the SiO2 wax. I think. Oh, this is very difficult. I could take this to people that know more about waxes than I do, and I think they'd struggle. I could take it to Saruman the Wise of waxes, and he'd still struggle. But the buff on that's pretty good. Yeah, the buff on that's actually, it needs a bit of a heavy buff. Oh, that's good, yeah, it's good. Just don't want any ghosting on there. It's not a great panel, by the way, but it's clean. It's prepped, but it's soft paint, so it gets a bit tatty. So that's okay, that buff. Bit of a firm buff. Yeah, I did put ease of... Oh, hold on, no. Ease of removal, when I did this with Bert, I put higher, and I put 43 as the other one not to remove. So I'll change that. Because I don't, well, let's do the other ones first. It's all relative. Now let's flip this over so I use a different side. Let's go in with number 33. That's definitely, that has to be easier to buff, surely. Doesn't feel quite as crunchy. With a little bit of stickiness to it. That's pretty easy. They both feel good. That was definitely lighter to buff than 27. So let's just say 27 had an average buff ability. Cross that out. And let's say 33 had a good buff ability. And let's do a final full fold, forgive me. So we've got all of those on that side now, haven't we? So we use those. Fold over there. Right, number 43, I remember this being, I think this was the harder one to buff. No, that's good to buff. What was I doing around Bertsim? Why did I think that was harder to buff? Oh no, I didn't. Oh yeah, I did. Of the three, I thought that was the hardest to buff, but on this flat panel, no, it's okay. I don't know. I'd say 27 was definitely the hardest to buff. And that's probably the easiest. What's going on? Oh man, it's just, when you test things twice as well, you realise you own things. So I would have said that was the easiest to buff. Wow. Okay. Maybe the amount you put down can play a part and all that sort of stuff. Visual improvement, you can't really measure that. You can't really measure that stuff. We'll give them an hour to cure. I've got there's some haze and scratches, wool haze on this. But that's what I want. So that if we use a nice wool pad and put haze in it, then we can actually see an improvement from the wax. So now, one thing when I was around Bert's is that I thought this one was the stickiest. And now I can't tell any bloody difference. They feel identical. It's just... They feel identical. Right, hold on a sec. Where is the patented? Up here. Forensic slickness test. Forged in the mines of Moria. Forged in the fires of Mount Doom. That's what I was supposed to say. This will be interesting. Should really leave them a bit longer, but let's just put this down here. So we have, sorry about the camera work, guys. So we have, oh, you're not going to see when I lift it up, are you? Let's do this. Oh God, you need three hands to do this. Let's go right back over here and hope you can see this. If I go nice and high, there we go. So 27, 33, 43. Oh, yeah. Oof, this panel's bloody heavy. Let's just swap these around. Okay. That is the slickest. So 27, I think 27 is either SiO2 or graphene, because that should have a slickness advantage. Tangible slickness. 43 was the one that I thought was the worst slickness. And 27 and 33 at Burt's I thought were about the same. So, but this is a little bit more scientific. Use the words very cautiously because it's also a bit Mickey Mouse. But there you go. Come on, let's see what's going on here. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. This. Come on. Yeah. Okay. So the next slickest, so that's first, second, and that one's third. Well, I did get that right at Burt's then. I said to Bert that by touch only, that one was the least slickest. I got it. Not bad. And then you just go and, oh, that's it. Visual gloss test, water repellency, okay. And then you repeat them all. So what I'll do is I'll leave this panel for 24 hours and then we'll do gloss test, dirt repellency, geez. It's tangible slickness, ease of wash. Oh, geez. That's going to be hard, you know. Ease of wash. I don't think you're going to notice anything on ease of wash. The thing I'm going on here, I don't think you'll get anything on dirt repellency. I don't think you might get some differences in gloss, but it could just be inherent in the panel, you know. And there are differences in water repellency, which I'll show you tomorrow. So I'm leaning towards 27 being SiO2. It could well be graphene, but I think it's SiO2. And then I'd probably put 33. Well, what were the water tests? Which was the least beading? Because that's important, isn't it? The middle one was the least beading, yeah. Now, I got a feeling that graphene isn't water repellent and it actually lowers repellency. So this has more slickness and less, I expect this to have the less water repellency. So at the moment, I'm going with 33 is probably going to be graphene, and 43 possibly be the plain wax. But that was the only one that was dry and cracked. So then that would have to mean that it's the addition of a dispersion that's making this wetter and looser. So that might actually make sense. And what type of SiO2 is a big question. If that's SiO2, is it a true glass coating? Is it a true glass coating, a true silane, you know, like they use in Enigma? Or is it a form of SiO2, like a polysiloxane? But then I think whatever it is, it'll have to be in some form of solvent. So whatever it is, the fact that that's the driest could mean that that's just the base wax. So that's my best guess at the moment. SiO2, graphene, plain wax. I'll be back tomorrow, but I'll carry on rolling in one go. See you in a second. Bing. Okay, guys, I'm back. It's the next day. And we're going to check out some readings with the gloss meter. Let's just make sure we've got no dust over this. So let's do a few on 27, which I think is the SiO2 one. Okay. I'm just looking at 20-degree gloss really here. I don't want to go lower because that's my sanding mark area of the panel. So really, with what are our stats here? 81.5. Let's just put that there. 81.5. Let's clear this down. Oh shit, should I? Come on. There we go. All right. 82.3. 80.9. It's going to be similar, isn't it? 80.4. Interesting. So let's just take our average. Let's just go with the data. 81.2 versus 81.5. That's basically nothing in it, really. Just going to take a couple more readings on here. Yeah, okay. So this mid patch seems to be a bit less glossy. Yeah. So that's probably a polishing issue, but never mind. All right, let's delete these. Right, let's do 3 on here. I think we figured this one was our plain wax, didn't we? 81.5. 81.8. 81.8, so that's going to give us an average of 81.7. You can see there. So really, there's no real difference that in gloss, even though there's 0.5, that's not enough from me doing this. So let's turn this off. There's no real difference, which doesn't surprise me actually. Okay. Next up, I'm just going to turn the camera off, so hold on a second. Just trying to remember. So I got a feeling this one was, the middle one, 33, was the graphene, I think, because it was lower hydrophobicity, slightly higher slick, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so that one had the least slip, so I figured graphene. So let's take this thing outside. We'll leave the camera on. Let's do this in one go. Oh. Right. There we go. Here we get the hose pipe. Okay. Let's have a look at the water. That's very repellent. That's the least repellent, that one there, isn't it? Interesting. Slightly different results. That's the least repellent. Not much in it though. Oh, good cheese, actually, I don't know. Virtually the same. Virtually the same, actually. No, they're virtually the same. Don't know. Put it down flat. No, there's no... I can't tell the difference, and I've got a decent eye for that. I'm sure one of them was slower at Bert's. What I'm going to do, leave it out here, see if there's any differences in durability. Before I do, let's just take this over here. Let's take this stuff off. Just leave a little bit on the top. Take it off there. So I know which way around it goes. So that's 27, blah, blah, blah. If you leave this on, it will stick and it will even damage my panel, believe it or not. Okay. So at the moment, really, I think that one might be the SiO2. That's got something in it, I think. The other two I'm really not sure about. I think that might be the graphene 33, and that might be the normal wax. Yeah, that was definitely going harder than the others, which makes me think it's got something else in it. The graphene wouldn't do that. Who knows? Anyway, God knows. Guessing. Over and out. Okay guys, just welcome back to the channel. We'll be doing our final test on the graphene wax thing. It's a miserable, horrible day. Here it is, been sitting out here for a couple of weeks, and gonna do one more clean on it. This is really only the second clean, so 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. A good clean over. I need the test panel back. I have work to do. So we've got to get this off. I'm not too worried now about this durability, because I don't know, I can't necessarily tell which one, you know, even if it has the longest durability, what that means. But interested to see how they're faring now. So let's just rinse the Surfex off. Put a good hit on them, that is. This usually rinses quite nicely, the Surfex. Really interesting. They're all, well, that's interesting actually, because I'm getting that limey thing. But switch that over. Seems to have taken the biggest hit over there. And that one seems to be pushing it off a bit more. And I think that one there, and that one was the plain wax, but that might actually make sense. That might actually make sense. Just put a tilt on it, hold on. Very similar, really. One in the middle actually seems to be faring the best. Or oh, is that moving? Careful. Yeah, the one in the middle is faring the best, isn't it? You can see it's climbing down quicker. Seems to be like a dead patch up there. Very interesting. What's going on with that patch? Yeah. So I'd probably say the middle has got the best durability. Then that one, that's climbing faster down in that corner, but there's a dead patch up there. That's actually fastest though still. Just got this sort of dead patch there. Look at that, it's definitely faster there. Yeah. But that's the slowest over here. It's quickest. So I'd say, let's say that's the least affected. Then that one. Then that one, which is interesting. Because that, I think, was SiO2. That was graphene, and that was the plain wax. So I'm going to see if I can... Let's just come in here. I'm going to see if I can give Bert a ring and find out which one's which, so he can put me out of my misery. Let's see if we can do that now.
Hello?
Bert?
Hello, yeah.
You're live on Forensics Detailing. Please do not swear.
Oh, crikey. Okay, no worries.
I have these 3 waxes in front of me. I've been testing them, and I think wax number 27 is the SiO2. I think wax number 33 is the graphene, and I think 43 is the plain wax. Could well be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 27 is the SiO2. It's got a funky smell to it.
That's interesting. That's interesting. What makes you think each way round? Let's see.
Well, there's definitely something in 27. When it cures as well, it forms a sort of slightly stiffer layer than the other ones. And that just reminded me a little bit more of Enigma. And it's got a slight smell to it, and it's very hydrophobic. It's slick. I think it's SiO2. If it's not SiO2, it's graphene, but it's definitely got something in it. And 33 has a bit more slickness than the 43 and less hydrophobicity. So I think the graphene might be lowering the hydrophobicity down. And I think 43 just seemed, it was the least slick. That was the one. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on these. I'm really interested to know what they are.
Well, which wax did you like? If you're offered those waxes, if you tested them as just retail products, which one would you like for your one of your crappy BMWs?
27 performs the best, but it's perhaps a little bit harder to buff. But 27 is perhaps the best performance wax.
That's interesting. So you want to know the truth, do you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just getting this spreadsheet up here. I've even password protected it. Problem is I've forgotten the password. Oh no, that's it. Okay, hang on. Right, okie dokie, Mr. J of Delu, Mr. Forensic Detailing. Yeah, I've got your numbers here. So, you think number 27 is FiO2.
Yeah.
And the Excel spreadsheet says you're right.
Woohoo!
So there's a good man. And you were saying that number 43 is organic because it wasn't as slick as the others.
Possibly.
Ooh, it'd be professionally very embarrassing if you got this wrong, wouldn't it, John?
I don't know. There's not a lot in these waxes. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but there are discernible differences. The good news is you don't have to go back to the paper round because you're right.
I'm right. It's the normal wax.
It is indeed.
Woohoo!
By basic calculation means that 33 is indeed the graphene wax.
I got all three right. 33 is the wettest of them as well. And I thought it's got to be a liquid dispersion of something in there. So it looked a bit wetter.
Yeah.
Where there'd be no reason for the base wax to be slightly wetter than the other ones. Yeah, it's interesting though. The main thing for me was that whenever I've tested graphene and SiO2 over conventional waxes, they are slicker. And I did a tilt table test that I'll show you on this video. And the SiO2 had the lowest friction and the graphene was second. And then the wax was third. And when we were around your gaff, we all observed with our hands in the microfiber that 43 was just a little bit stickier to the fingers.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing that's got it for me. And the smell of 27, I can recognise a little. It feels a bit like Enigma. So that's how I got them. But I'm really pleased I got all three of them right because, to be honest, there's a little bit of luck there. I wouldn't have been surprised if I got them all wrong. But I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, I've had a couple of people, talk about it, and their assumptions were not correct. But what's interesting is, the whole point of this is to see whether SiO2 and graphene are just buzzwords. And by the sounds of it, SiO2 definitely isn't. It's long established now, but graphene also does add things. It's not just a sort of little sprinkling of unicorn sperm or whatever.
But I think it lowers hydrophobicity, which is interesting.
Yeah, but again, hydrophobicity, people get excited about that. But if you look in the marine market, for example, the in brackets ceramic coating for marine market, they don't want it hydrophobic because it gives you a waterline.
Yeah.
They want it hydrophilic.
Yeah.
So, this whole obsession with beads, and don't worry, I'd like beads as much as the next man. But arguably, there is an advantage in that, and obviously we've done the testing with the coating with graphene and SiO2 in, and that is very interesting. Obviously, we won't talk about the results of that quite yet, but it's good to see. It's good to see. I wonder how many of the other sort of 17, 18 testers have come to it. We've got it going off to they're in Japan being tested too, so that'll be interesting.
I think people will get the SiO2. If you smell them, you can smell. I think John's using a proper ceramic in that SiO2 one because I can smell.
It does. We did a big article on that in that you can just put the same sort of dust powder that they use to lubricate Cat 5e cables in there and say it's got SiO2 in, which isn't a lie, but John does mix it in properly with his crazy chemistry stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a proper ceramic in there because just from the smell and the film toughens up a bit more than the others. But Yeah, no, really good, Bert. Really enjoyed this one, man. It's interesting, isn't it? So this should make a
Yeah.
great review. And no, thanks very much for sending them over. I've enjoyed it. And all of the results are going to be in Pro Detailers Magazine, volume 15. So we'll look out for that, and I'll link that in the description of this video. So you take care, my friend, and we will speak soon, yeah?
That'd be marvellous, Josh. All right, all the best, dude.
Bye now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when you